It's official, the former CEO of Hytale wants to buy Hytale back from Riot Games after contemplating for a little while. If you missed it last video, I talked about how he was willing to put down $25 million to try to buy back the game, but he was uncertain of it. It would drag him away from his family and kids, but he has finally made the decision. He changed his profile picture back to the one in 2019 before he sold the game, and then he made this tweet saying to clarify it would require a lot less money to get something out that would be released in very early access with temporarily removed features. We could just get the community involved ASAP in modeling, bug reports, feature requests, crowdfunding, and find ways to use shared source and open source with cash bounties to speed up production and keep the team relatively small. Guys, this is important. Keep your expectations extremely low, because usually when large companies shut down a project like this, the chances of revivals are next to impossible. Even if it's 1% chance, it's the least I can do to the same community that gave me the opportunity to be where I am today. I will reach out, however, remember, it will take a while, so give it some time. It will take months to get answers and months to get done. I will share as much as possible as I go through the process. Then he's sharing this iconic image, which he's used numerous times now, of saying just launch, which is what we've all been saying for the past few years. Just launch the game. We don't need all of these extra features. We just want to be able to play the game regardless of how bare bone it is. The chances of this are still super minimal, so it's important not to get your hopes too high, but it is more than a 0% chance now. Previously, he was just contemplating it and we weren't even sure if he wanted to do it. Now he's fully on board, and it's really just up to Riot and those boardrooms meetings to see how that will play out, how much money they're willing to sell Hytale for, and how much IP Simon is able to get back. In their final blog post, they had the quote, "They supported us in going out into the world to see if there were investors or acquirers who would continue to help carry Hytale forward." This statement alone makes me fairly confident that it's at least a 1 or 2% chance that Riot might be willing to give back their IP to Simon Hypixel, since they were open to it before the cancellation. Then it's the question of, if he gets it, what happens? Someone said, "I promised to put down money to help, expectations low, but everyone's willing to help." And Simon replied, "I'm willing and not afraid to release it in a bad state, as long as people understand it would be temporary, just to break the curse of release and then work hard for many years to come to achieve the dream." So Simon completely understands what all of us, you guys, especially in the YouTube comments, really want. If he gets the game back, he will do his absolute best to rush it out as soon as possible. There will be bugs, there will be glitches, there will be maybe even textures missing, but at least we'll have the game in our hands. We'll be able to mod it, as well as they'll be able to update it to eventually, within a few years, have a very solid and rounded out game. Then Chippy, a gigantic Terraria YouTuber, said, "What a wild week for Hytale," to which Simon said, "It makes for some good YouTube content, to say the least." He talks about the communication a little more, where someone said, "Man, your few posts already feel like more community engagement than we had in the last few years. It was more like a Hytale newsletter. I hope it stays this way if the work on the game continues." Someone replied, "It's not just feel, it is more engagement than ever before." Simon replies, "Look at the blog post count when I was there in 2018 to 2019. I live for this." It's also critical to developers to keep the fire well and alive. Back then we had weekly blog posts, and it fizzled out to monthly, which was still acceptable, but then we were having biannual blog posts, one in the winter and one in the summer, with barely any information in them. If you go back on the Hytale website and read some of the older blog posts, it would be pages long, full of information. And it's true, everyone's saying that there is a lot of buzz and a lot more engagement now that Simon's tweeting and the game is canceled. If you look on Google Trends, this is now the updated Google Trends search for Hytale, the online game. The trailer peaked somewhere around, let's see, that's like 60, and now we're at 100. This is 40% more discussion than even the launch trailer. 30virus, a Minecraft YouTuber and a previous Hytale content creator, said, "I was right. I wish it didn't take 4 years for people to finally feel the same way," talking about the cancellation and just releasing it back in 2021, the initial release date for when the game was supposed to come out. Simon replies, "It takes courage to release an unfinished finished product. The search for perfection is a curse. The high expectations become bigger and bigger with time and promises. When you start to rewrite every single systems and even things like music, you have lost the plot. Like you said, our Minecraft server still uses 1.8 backend. It's like 10 years old, but yet it doesn't stop us from making content for Minecraft during that time. The community can and would support Hytale 100%. Just take someone to just launch. And it's that repeated verbiage which makes me so happy to hear. Simon is on a tweeting rampage. It feels like every hour there's something new coming out. So if you don't want to miss anything and stay up to date, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I will be pushing out Hytale updates as long as they exist, as well as join the Discord where we have the most active Hytale community right now, and they're also publishing the Simon tweets. One of the previous devs and one of the most vocal ones after Hytale's cancellation, Slikey, said, "My wife asked me how my day was and I couldn't stop smiling. Hytale is and was a great idea, and I never stopped believing in the vision we had back in 2018. If by any chance this timeline happens, it would be an absolute wild ride and a massive opportunity to get involved." Stein, another previous OG Hytale dev, says, "I've been feeling similarly. If given the opportunity, I'd be back in a second. It's crazy what the last few days have brought. I can't imagine what I'd feel seeing the game again. Everyone is trying to get that OG Hytale gang back together, the ones that brought us that initial Hytale feeling. Some of them ended up leaving and some of them staying, but a lot new hires and a lot of people with different visions were brought on after the Riot acquisition." Radon, another former senior level designer for Hytale, said, "Any sane person might want to move on in their career, but I love Hytale and desperately want it in the hands of people." Martin in the Littlewood said, "Oh my god, I never even mentioned the music from Hytale. I really hope that whatever has completed of the OST can see the light of day. They were such brilliant pieces." And Simon drops a bombshell. "I think there's over 15 hours of soundtrack. That's like 200 tracks. Oscar Garvin is the best, who's the music composer for the game. All of it behind a vault right now, never to be heard. Only a handful of people had the chance to hear it. I will do everything in my power to find the key, break the curse of release. Let's bring it home." Right now we have around 1.5 hours of official Hytale music, some of which might have only been concepts and some of which are in the game, but 1.5 hours versus 15 is a large contrast. Then we had Simon post this probably like 5 minutes before I started recording, saying no risk, no story. He said this in a reply, and I think this is going to be the motto that we're using going forward. This is a very risky thing, and I want to remind you, I'm hyping everything up right now, but it's still a 1% chance maybe that Riot lets him have this. The chances are still very low, but talking about it is very exciting, and possibly using this outreach might convince Riot Games, hey, there is something special here. Let's just see if we can make this happen. No risk, no story. If Hytale were to come back, it would be the greatest story in gaming history. Then we had a lot of people tweeting some of their favorite clips from Hytale. This is Hytale News saying this is on the legacy engine, and it's a compilation of a bunch of amazing footage from the Hytale engine, and everything that you've seen previously, everything from the trailer, from blog posts, that was all the legacy engine. That is what Hypixel Simon is trying to bring back, and he replies, "True, but that's not the end of it." Someone said, "You want this?" Yeah, me too. Hashtag save Hytale, which was actually a hashtag that got trending on Twitter, and we're continuing to post about it. So if you want to join the fight, go on Twitter, use the hashtag save Hytale. Once again, Simon said, "You want this?" He said, "Yes, I want it." Not only that, someone posted their favorite clip where it's about sound design and a lot of ambience, and Simon just says, "I love this clip." I know this is a lot of people's favorite clip, the dungeon gameplay. It's around 40 seconds long where you fight a bunch of skeletons and get a prize at the end, where Simon says, "My boy Ninja Charlie T is in the video. He's ready to get working again," where he replied, "Yeah, I'm ready to code Hytale, baby." So everyone from the OG team once again is coming back. It's kind of like the Avengers coming back for Endgame to defeat Thanos, where in this case, I guess Riot Games is Thanos, or the upper management. I'm not sure on that analogy, but I think you get the point. Then we got some answers about the modding, because obviously the previous engine was written on Java and I think C++, and the new one was written to something else. Don't quote me on that exactly, where Slikey was asked, just to be prepared for any outcome, which language would be used. used or was used to create mods in the legacy engine, because I know there's probably a lot of you watching that wanted to make mods or wanted to make a server in Hytale just so we can start to practice. And like he replied, the old blog posts will still be relevant. So any old 2018, 2019 blog posts are going to be up to date now, which wasn't the case just a few months ago. The goal was to have all the mods on the server. So Java, we wanted to make entry into that easier using scripting to be able to share scripts that are more secure. Generally, we wanted the server to be as powerful as possible so that you don't have a mod pack madness on the other block game. And I think we all know which one he's talking about. And I think we all have had certain mod pack complications. You could simply join a server that you are getting the experience they intended for you to have. So you join a server and they automatically download that mod pack for you. So the answer is initially Java for code, JSON for NPCs, world gen, blocks, and other assets. We had someone reply, better than Lua, which is another coding language. And like he said, I mean, this can exist at the same time. Scripting is a great addition to the lower barrier of entry for modders. We always talked about the modding ramp for noob to pro. You can't expect someone to jump into Java. Give them simpler ways to do similar things. Java is a pretty advanced and pretty difficult learning language, and Lua is generally seen as a very beginner-friendly and entry-level scripting language. It's used in Roblox, for example. He clarifies, Lua can exist entirely on top of the underlying code base and help you share scripts easier. All scripting does. It's the same as Blueprints and Unreal. You can do everything in C++ in Unreal Engine 5, but Blueprints are often a good compromise between performance and usability. The conversation continues saying, you are so right, I kind of like both, but I prefer Java because we can do more complex things. But if we can have both, then I'm all in. The vision and the beginning are always miles apart. Pioneers never have an easy time, and especially if Legacy would come back, we'd be taking Starship to Mars and fixing our ship on the way. This is a callback to saying, hey, we're gonna launch the game and it's gonna be messy. We don't know how the modding components are likely even gonna interact with each other. We're just gonna push it out, see what you guys can do with it and see what we can do with it. And we're gonna kind of build alongside each other. That is all the Hytale news I have for right now, but once more, Simon is tweeting every single hour, so make sure you stay subscribed so you don't miss anything. There could be a new announcement tomorrow for all we know. Join the Discord, link in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.